Dementia residents are relieved when they realise that they don't have to do all the cooking and the cleaning anymore. They don't have to remember that because all this is taken care of. But what they do have to remember, and it's a very important aspect that they need to be able to remember, is the all-consuming mission of finding their space and place, their bedroom. It's absolutely imperative that they can find their bedroom and be able to remember how to find it. Otherwise, they'll just be incarcerated in the lounge all day. That's where they'll be put, because even though they'll be taken to their bedroom for toileting every 2 hours and then led back to the lounge, they will be led back to the lounge, not kept in the bedroom, because the lounge is near the dining room, so convenient for meals, so they'll just stay in that spot. So that's no liberty at all. I mean, there's enough lack of liberty in a dementia unit not being able to get outside, let alone inside, not being able to get to your bedroom because you can't find it. So this is why direction orientation is so important, to be able to help the person find their room, which I've reiterated in many videos and the books Residents' Voice and Residents' Rise. So to give you, there's various examples around ways and means that people find to be able to get to their room. I mean, it's a different equation for many. So at one of the dementia units I worked at, there was a lovely man. He was a tall, glamorous looking man. He was still, 70s, strong, well built, and he had a charming personality. But he couldn't find his room. And it was in a very, for dementia residents' purposes, complicated position. At the end of the corridor, turn right, third on the left. Well, there's a lot to remember there if you've got direction orientation loss and recent memory loss. So anyway, but he got around it by charming his way all along the corridor. Now, few can manage this because, it takes some skill charming both, either relatives or staff or the odd dementia resident who may know where your room is, like your next door neighbour, which in this case, his next door neighbour was also a lovely, glamorous woman who did know where her room was and did know where his room was. So she used to spend half her day taking him to his room when he wanted to lie down or wanted to go to the bathroom. So he was very lucky to have that support right next door and the ability to charm his way along. But most dementia residents don't have that ability. It's much better if they know and can find the room themselves. I think if he tried harder, he could have worked it out, but his family didn't do practice runs with him. His door wasn't really identifiable, and he didn't really have the need to be able to find it because everyone else told him where it was, because he was able to charm them into telling him. But he made a lot of effort on other fronts, He was very depressed when he came. He pulled his way out of that, and he went on to be able to be a great help for other depressed women in the unit, knowing, of course, how it felt and what it's like, especially when you come in. But 90% of people in dementia units would like to know how to find their room and need to be able to find it so as to have a quality of life. So he was the exception. There was another woman, she was a lovely lady as well. Her room was in a really good position, second on the right past the nurse's station. Always a good position, good to keep in mind. If you're about to choose or find a placement for your mother and she has difficulty with direction orientation, it's always good to try and get a room close to the nurse's station. Firstly, making it easier to find, because second on the right is much easier than at the end of the corridor. There's somewhere left after that. And also, if there's physical disabilities, heart failure, respiratory conditions, shortness of breath, it's a shorter distance for them to go. So this woman had a good, convenient location for her room, and she knew how to get there after a lot of practice, mind. She knew how to get there, but she tended to remain stuck there for the day because she was anxious, depressed, and stressed, and didn't like crowds. Not a good combination. and she needed to be encouraged to come out of her room to socialise and mix with people, because she was becoming more and more introverted and withdrawn, cave-like, withdrawing into the cave. So it is important to have a balance between time in the lounge, time in the room. Now, this man I've just mentioned, who used to charm his way along the front to get a corridor to get to his room, he had a really good balance, actually. He had really good emotional cognition. He'd come past the nurse's station and he'd say, I need to unwind. I need to get to my room. So he knew when he was getting wound up or anxious. He recognised that. He recognised he needed to go to his room, and he would ask staff or whoever was available to take him there. Now, that's pretty bright, really, to recognise, A, that you're wound up, and B, make the effort to actually go to your room to unwind and calm down, rather than, as is often the case, taking it out on the person next door, or to whoever's before you, blaming, shaming, or whatever, getting angry, as many dementia residents do. But he never did. He'd just go off to his room and unwind. He had emotional control. It was really impressive, actually, that he was able to do that and to bring himself out of that depression as well. It's really incredible. That's when I loved working in dementia units, because you learn so much. And when you see the strength that some people draw on to be able to, acquire these skills, it's no small feat, living in a dementia unit and then having the emotional control as well to be able to work on yourself. Really, it's inspiring. So the books, Residents' Voice, Residents' Rise, on Amazon, good reading. Thank you for your viewing, looks and likes. Please support and pass on and subscribe. Thanks.